Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us again. Before we talk about our next topic, well, I'd actually just like for you viewers to watch the next clip. Just watch this and see, and then we can talk about it.
6-year-old Journey Brookman has gone to daycare at his kids' preschool in Russellville. Her mom told me she was told she wasn't welcome back after wearing a shirt reading Black Lives Matter.
Of course, Friday she asked, well, can I go back Monday? No, you can never go back.
A tough message to hear as a kindergartner, but her mom, DeVal, says the even harder one was the call she got from the school's director over her daughter's shirt.
And she was like, well, I don't like it, I don't agree with it, and I would prefer if you don't send her to school in it again.
She says she reported the issue to the state and was told as long as there's no profanity, she was in the clear.
If I'm supporting something, I'm going to wear it, my child's going to wear it to help say that our voice needs to be heard.
Journey went back to school last Friday in this shirt, but when DeVal picked her daughter up, she says she was told her shirt was encouraging racism and was no longer welcome at the preschool.
I got very upset because I'm just like, are you serious over a t-shirt?
You can see from the clip, a 6-year-old that's in preschool was sent home from school for wearing a t-shirt that says, all lives don't matter until Black Lives Matter. And I mean, I don't need to go into detail. Ladies, let's talk about this. Like, do you guys think that is it right for parents to sort of impose their views, political views to be precise, on their children? Let's start with you, Dasa. What do you say?
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't start with me.
Come, bring it.
Okay, so I don't even think the word we should use is impose, because the children would learn what their parents are doing. It's just like football. The sons will follow their fathers, whatever team they belong to, or at least until a certain age where they can have a mind of their own. And same goes with every other thing, including politics, including, Black Lives Matter movements. In the household of Black people in America, the headline is Black Lives Matter. That's what everybody's talking about. The children will also say Black Lives Matter. It's the headline. So it's not imposing. It's just what it is at the moment. It's just what it is.
I'm going to throw a huge spanner in the works, because for me, Black Lives Matter is not a political, I think for a Black child, it's not political, it's part of your identity. It's, taking a stand. So that is my view. But then with regard to actual politics, I think, parents need to be a bit careful with things like that. If a child's going into school environment, because like, for example, last week when I talked about, we were talking about BLM, and I mentioned that our neighbour across the street was racist. He was BNP, and that filtered down to his daughter, and she was racist to my sister and I at school, because we actually went to the same school. So it is quite dangerous. So you've got to be careful what you actually, share with your children, or what political views you impose on them.
And Stephanie, what do you say? What's your view on this? What's your take?
I completely agree with Safara. The Black Lives Matter, it's not a political party or political view. It's Black people standing up for their rights. So it's very different from influencing the kids politically. The second thing is, from a political side, I think a child that is 6 is a bit too young to actually understand politics. And I think we should be careful, because kids learn from their parents. Like for me, I wouldn't really discuss politics with maybe my 9-year-old, but my 12, 13-year-old, I probably would. So he knows where I stand, but I wouldn't necessarily want to influence him to decide to follow the path I'm following, or support the party I'm following, if that makes sense.
Is it right for the school to take the stand that it took? So the t-shirt, wearing the t-shirt to the school, and the fact that the school took the decision that they made. How do you feel about that decision? Do you think it's the right decision?
First of all, I will talk about the t-shirt and the mother. We're all making a stand. We're all Black people, and we understand the importance of Black Lives Matter movement. Like, we know that we've seen the injustice and inequality, and we're all fighting for that. But I wouldn't necessarily put my child in a t-shirt going to nursery because the child is very young. Although we need to inform our kids, especially black kids, like I do for my son or my daughter, of the inequality that is out there, and they need to be aware. I tell them you need to work harder than everybody else in your class because you're black, and people would see you and they look at you in a certain way. But I would not necessarily put that t-shirt on my child. If I want to go and riot or go and protest, not riot, excuse me, I would carry the placard and go and stand in front of my door. Do you understand? Or go in the street. But I would not put that responsibility on my child. I think the child is too young to have that. That's for me as a parent. With regards to the nursery, I think what it did was really bad. There are other ways you can deal with issues. Yes, there are other ways you can. So if the child, for example, if a child decides to wear a t-shirt that says Jesus saves, would you tell them not to come to your nursery because maybe people there are not Christian? Do you understand? So I think they should have dealt with it a different way. The way they dealt with it makes me feel they don't really support the Black Lives Matter movement. They would have called all the kids and say, this is lovely because we're all human. We treat each other nicely. They could have done it that way where we're like, if you're, share your toys with people. They could have made it in a very nice way where everyone will feel included and the kids will learn about being fair and not, like, they can even maybe bring dolls in and say, black girls have afro hair, white girls have, something to just help the nursery. I think their stand, as I said before, it was a bit extreme. And also, I said I won't put my child in that t-shirt, but it's not our place to tell a mother how to dress their child.
True.
She decides to put her child in that t-shirt. There might be things that have happened. I'm a mom and I've been in the sometimes you see racist things happening to your kids. You can't really do much about it. You can see my daughter came back from school today and she told me about they gave a dessert and she asked for a dessert. And the lady, the cook, gave other white kids and didn't give to her. So the kids, it's something I'm going to take up with the school, but the kids go through. You never know what, exactly. You never know what that woman has gone through in the nursery, why she's trying so hard to, put her child in that t-shirt. Maybe the things underlying that she's trying to fight against.
So what Stephanie just said, like the last part, I'm going to pick up on that. So the fact, how they dealt with it, she referred to the fact that they don't really understand Black Lives Matter. I'd take a step further and just feel like maybe they don't really want to understand how the black children within their nursery would be affected by what they're seeing on the news, etc. And it's important. Obviously they're young, so you can't get too heavy with things like that in nursery, but still, basically the head teacher's response was not right. I think the mother of the daughter at the end made a reference to the fact that because we can all see that it's called His Kids Preschool with a cross, so the assumption that it is a Christian nursery, and she made reference to the fact that what does the Bible teach? And me as a Christian, the Bible says to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So for the head teacher to respond like that, you're not loving your neighbor as you love, as you should love yourself. And you're not really taking note of the fact that we've all been created in the image of God. So yeah, I think the head teacher could have done way better, definitely way better. And think of the effects on that child as well, how that's going to affect her growing up,
Just to take us into it, what do you think? What are your views on this?
Yeah, I think the Black Lives Matter movement is not a war declared on white people. That's not what it is. Yeah, it's black people standing up to say we're here. We may be black, but we're human beings. It's not a war, so we shouldn't take it as a war. I wouldn't put that t-shirt on my child, just like Stephanie said, because it's a bit insightful. In a learning environment, you want to have, everything clear and ready for children to receive, If there were, protests outside about Black Lives Matter and the next day was school, are those protests going to disrupt school? And I'm not saying it's possible that the staff of the school themselves are conflicted and dealing with being racist themselves. It is possible. That's why, you know, they picked up on it. If the school was run by Black people and that child wore a Black Lives Matter t-shirt to school, it wouldn't have meant much.
No.
Because it would have been, oh, you've got a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. Oh, that's lovely. But in this case, you know, it was frowned against, and I think where I have even more problem is that the mom of this child wore the child another version the next time, even after she had been warned.
Exactly. Woo,
So
yes,
was she deliberately looking for trouble? Was there something else there? You know, I know that on the protest ground, you know, there's a lot of expression of, you know, Black Lives Matter, you know, we can't breathe. There's a lot of that expression, but is it appropriate to take that into a little child's school? I don't know. And I wouldn't do that. I support Black Lives Matter to the teeth, but I wouldn't put that t-shirt on my child, you know, to go out, you know, to school.
I understand
If we're all
that.
going out
It's
on
a
a
personal decision.
protest as a family is a different thing.
Just because you won't do it, that's a lady. But does it mean that her doing it is the wrong thing? Is it because you use the word insightful?
That's what I'm saying. Sorry, Stephanie. Let me clarify. That's what I'm saying. Remember, I said it's see, the right and wrong is a bit shaky here, because if that school was run by Black people, that t-shirt wouldn't mean much, right? We're not going out to look for trouble. Black Lives Matter movement is not a war. It's not war. We are not declaring war on white people. If I respect somebody and somebody respects me, there's peace. Like, I'm not looking to look for trouble. I'm not looking to incite anybody. If a child is going to school, let the child go to school. If the school is not happy, I think the first day the child wore the t-shirts, right? And it caused the trouble, and they said what they said. I wouldn't now wear my child another version again. What am I looking
But this is something you believe in. What if that t-shirt had said something else? I don't know, something to do with Black is beautiful, and it's or Black Barbie, or some kind of cartoon character. You know, that this child that happens to be that this child likes, and she takes that. Because I think one of the things we should look at here is look at like the when I watched the video, and I've tried to like read around it to see, one, I don't think the child kind of went against the uniform code. You know, she's in preschool, so they wear clothes with patterns, with cartoon characters, with all kinds of writing. And it happens to be Black Lives Matter. And because all of you have made the point, which I agree with, that Black Lives Matter is not quite a political thing. I think when it comes to even political views, as long as they're not extreme views.
I don't think there's anything wrong with a t-shirt. I would have sent my child in a t-shirt wearing that kind of t-shirt, because to be honest, it's not a political thing. It's a part of their identity. It's taking a stand. This is something they're going to have to deal with their whole life, because we've all dealt with it our whole lives. Our ancestors have, our parents have. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with wearing that t-shirt.
Yeah, and again, Black Lives Matter is not really. Don't forget what kind of reignited it recently. It's the fact that this whole thing is a life and death situation. You know,
exactly.
People are being killed purely just because they're Black, just because of the color of their skin. So the whole movement, you know, and talking about politics is home. First of all, we cannot sort of negate the fact that politics impacts almost every aspect of our lives. I think it's important that we educate our children about politics. It's important for them to know what kind of influence that they want to make in society, what changes they would like to see in society, how they can fit in better, so we can all live in a well-rounded, better society that we can all kind of exist in peacefully. And unfortunately, Black Lives Matter is one of that. So it is political in the sense that we want to see a change in the way that Black people are being treated. And I don't think it should have offended the school. The school was extreme. in my opinion, in the way we've all said, in the way that they dealt with it. They could have dealt with it a lot better. And it's unfair that this child now has been sent home simply because of wearing a t-shirt that really says something really positive, that says, you know, every life matters. That's what she's saying essentially.